Hello and welcome back. This is another session that we have for you today on two-step equation with variables on the both sides of our equation. And if you want to see how to solve these type of equations, make sure that you stay tuned. So we are going to begin solving our two-step equation today by collecting our like terms. And remember that whenever you are solving these type of equations, you have to first evaluate what are your like and unlike terms. And since we have 4m and 2m, these will be our like terms, and our constant 1 and 3 are also another set of like terms. So let's begin by collecting our like terms with our constants. So I'm looking at my two terms. I have plus 3 and a minus 1. And since I want to avoid working with a bunch of negatives, I'm going to be moving my 1 to the other side of the equation where my 3 is. And since 1 is being subtracted, that means when it moves to the other side with 3, it will be added to my 3. So now let's simplify our right-hand side of our equation. So I'm going to return my 4m. I'm going to put back also my 2m, and then I will be adding 3 plus 1, which will equal to 4. So now that I simplify my constants, I'm now going to begin simplifying my variables. So that means I'm looking at my 2m, and since 2m is positive here, that means when it moves to the left-hand side of my equation, I'm going to be subtracting that 2m from my 4m. So we're going to put back our equal sign and return our 4 back to the equation. So now 4m minus 2m will equal to 2m because 4 minus 2 is equal to 2. And we make sure that we put our variable back as well. And we will return our 4 back to the equation. So now that both sides of our equation have been simplified by collecting our like terms, we're now going to move into our one-step equation step where we have 2m being multiplied together. And remember that when we're solving and multiplication is our operation, that means that both sides of the equation will now be divided by our term with our variable, which in this case is 2. So both sides of our equation will be divided by our coefficient 2. And 2, when divided into 2, will equal to 1. So we're going to return our m back to the equation, remembering that 1m is the same thing as 1 as m, so we don't need to put the 1 in front of our m. So now we're going to be dividing our 2 into 4, which will equal to 2. So our m for this equation will equal to 2. So now let's perform our check. And we set in our equation that m is equal to 2. So now we're going to be substituting in our equation m for 2 everywhere that it appears in the equation. Remember to put everything back exactly where it was except for our m, which is replaced with 2. So now we're going to simplify firstly the left-hand side of our equation. So 4 times 2 is equal to 8. And 8 minus 1 is equal to 7. And remember that we need the right-hand side of our equation to also equal to 7 to prove that our answer that we got for m is indeed the correct answer for our equation. So we're going to multiply 2 times 2, which will give us 4. And when 4 is added to 3, this would also equal to 7. So that means that m equals 2 is the correct solution for our equation. So let's answer our final equation for this session. And remember to feel free to pause the video, solve this equation for yourself, and then when you're ready, unpause the video and work to see if you and I got the exact same answer. Okay, so let's begin in this case by collecting our like terms. And again, I'm going to avoid working with my negatives. So what I'm going to do, since I'm collecting my like terms with my variables first, I'm going to be moving my 2t to the other side of the equation where my 5t is. Remember that you can work the other way around, but if you're not strong with dealing with your negatives, I strongly recommend that you move 2t to 5t. So I'm going to put my 5t, and since 2t is positive in this case, I'm going to subtract it. And then we're going to put back our minus 4. And on the left hand side, I will return my 23 back to my equation. So now returning our 23, I'm going to simplify my 5t minus 2t, which will equal to 3t, and return the minus 4 back to my equation. So now that I have simplified my terms with my variables, I'm now going to focus on my constants. So I'm going to be moving my 4 now to the left hand side of my equation. So my 23 will be added to my 4, since the sign in front of 4 is minus, and then we're going to just return that 3t back to the equation. So now let's simplify the left hand side, and 23 plus 4 will equal to 27. And remember that whether the 3t is on the left or the right, do not feel or do not allow yourself to become confused, because the steps that you're going to take in this case is still going to be the same thing. The only thing that's different is that the variable is on the right hand side of the equation instead of the left hand side, but again our steps will be exactly the same. So since 3 is the coefficient being multiplied to my variable, I will be dividing both sides of my equation by 3. Remember, I'm solving to get my variable t by itself, and since 3 is with t, I'm going to divide by 3 so that I can get rid of that 3 and have t by itself. So 3 divided into 3 will leave us with 1. And we're remembering that 1t is the same thing as t. And then we're going to be dividing our 3 into 27, which will equal to 9. So for this equation, our t is equal to 9. Okay, so let's check our answer. So we said that t is equal to 9. So we're now going to be substituting t for 9 everywhere that it appears in our equation. And again, we're solving to make sure that both sides of our equation is equal to the exact same number, to make sure that our equation is indeed valid with the answer that we got. So I'm going to work out the left hand side of the equation first, and then we'll move right over to the right hand side. So 2 times 9 is equal to 18. 18 when added to 23 will be equal to 41. So now we're going to multiply our 5 times 9 on the right hand side to give us 45. And 45 minus 4 is equal to 41. Okay, so both sides of our equation are equal to the same thing. So that means that t equals 9 is the correct solution for this equation. And remember to continue practicing. These equations are not difficult to solve. Once you know your basic foundation for collecting like terms and solving your one-step equation, then solving these type of equations will be the exact same way, just as easy as 1-2 steps. So make sure you get some practice in. Give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful to you. And we'll see you right here in the next video on Jules Math Tools, where we make math easy.